going to a predominantly white high school.
Yes.
You're very concerned. That concerns you.
Yes, especially with the stuff that's been said by some of the white people I go to school with. So,
At your school?
yes.
What have you heard? What are some of the things that you've heard from fellow students? Have obviously been racial.
Stuff like they don't care, that they pretty much own me because I'm an African American and they're white. So, yeah, I've heard that a couple of times.
Have you guys heard anything like that at your school too?
I mean, I also go to a predominantly white high school. I go to Mansfield High School. And I used to be in the class for PSAT prep. And every day I would get asked, why are you in this class? You ain't even like you're smart enough to be in this class. Because I would be quiet all by myself in the corner because I had nobody in the class that looked like me. And it's like I feel like we don't get as many opportunities as most white students end up getting.
Wow.
Hold on.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Yeah, anybody else have anything?
I also go to a predominantly white school, and they've shared their experiences. I was in a debate class 2 years ago, and I was working with these Latino students. We were working on a project, and they were talking about how, I think they were trying to do a protest at the school. It was like an organized protest, and they were saying that there were white students that were throwing trash at them and that were saying derogatory terms towards them. And it really, I was just shocked because I was like, I can't believe that would happen out here in Frisco. But then it's a lot of things that have been posted on Twitter lately about Frisco, with like people posting pictures of them saying like the N-word with the hard ER, and their parents defending them saying, oh no, like it was just a joke, and things like that. And it's just like, wow. Like I just can't believe that like it's happening today. And like we're supposed to be the generation that's like making these changes, but then it's like we have to go to school and be put back in the same environment where it's like people think that's normal to like go around and say these like racist and like negative and nasty and ugly things. And it's frustrating because when we want to say something back, we're the ones that get in trouble, and we're the ones that are like, especially being a black female, we're looked at as ghetto if we're giving an opinion or have a strong passion about a topic. Then we're yelling or we're loud and ghetto. But then you can have a white student and they can do the exact same thing, but it's okay because, oh, they're passionate about the topic. They're oh, that's what they care about. But then when I'm passionate about something, it makes me loud and I'm getting sent out the classroom.
Wow.
Yeah, and I had a kind of an experience like that where there was a white person in my class who would blatantly yell the N-word all the time, and he would have a Confederate flag on his truck and everything. And just the fact that you can't even be checked for that in a high school that's predominantly white, that only has like a small population of the African Americans, like, and the fact that everyone wants to be around us and be with us and all that stuff, but do all of that behind our back is just, wow, I feel like I'm backstabbed. I feel like I don't even know who you are anymore.
I don't go to a predominantly white school. I go to like a predominantly Hispanic school, but it is still a lot of kind of hatred towards them. And it's weird because they say the N-word more than any other black person that I know, but then when it's time to speak up for black issues, then they're silent, or they act like, you know, we're always doing too much. And they don't actually, like, just because, you know, they're another minority does not mean that they care about us, because you hear a lot of kind of suspicious things that they say. And it's like a lot of like microaggressions, because they're not gonna be like outwardly racist, but you can tell that, you know, they're not always with us.
Yeah, so first of all, I want to commend you all for being able to continue to go to school and continue not to give up, even though you're in the face of that adversity, because that is absolutely outrageous, right? But with that being said, I guess speaking to that, because it's probably other people that you're gonna be speaking to that have these same experiences. What have you done that allowed you to still have courage to keep going? What makes you say, I'm not gonna give up? What makes you in that moment not lash out physically in those moments? Like what keeps you?
Yeah.
I think it's just the idea that, you know, I feel like we all have that time period where like we're trying to understand who we are, just as a person of color, and especially as a black woman, it's been very difficult. I know I've gone to a predominantly white school as well. I think that it's that our color does not define us, and that there's always going to be people that are going to try to hold us back. We're always going to have to deal with people that aren't used to us or aren't used to us coming in a room and being, having a voice, having an opinion. But what's most important is that we continue to utilize our voice and we continue to advocate for what we're passionate about, advocate for Black lives, and advocate for who we are as a person, regardless of our color.
So I wanted to lash out whenever I was told, like, you're not smart enough to be in this class. You look like you aren't supposed to be here. And that was a year before my friends had started a group at our school called the Black Student Association. And now I feel like I have somewhere safe to go to where I can speak on all my problems and issues, because the teachers at my school, we only have like 2-3 teachers that are Black at my school. So we can't go to all the white teachers because they won't understand how we feel. So now I have somewhere where I can go where I can speak on all the issues that I'm facing.
Yeah, kind of piggybacking off of Julian, it's nice to have a peer group of friends who are the same color as me. You know, they see our color of our skin as a binder. No, I see it as a bridge. You know, it helps us get together. It helps us talk about our problems. And you can talk to any adulthood African American, and they will understand you. They'll understand what you're going through. They'll have words of wisdom. They'll have advice. And just the fact that you can be able to talk to pretty much anybody with the same color of your skin about your struggles and problems is it's just amazing that we can have this type of relationship.
I was just gonna say, and also this year, like I said, I'm the president of the Black Student Union Club at my school. And when school first started, I was very nervous just because a lot of the Black people at my school, it was just the Black Student Union Club before, it wasn't active. They were just a club and they were just known for getting together, playing music and eating. But I didn't want that to be the club anymore. I wanted us to actually take action and do something. So I was very nervous because I was like, I'm not sure if my fellow students will want to be active, especially in Frisco. So at our first meeting, I made the posters, did everything, was sending out flyers, and we had 60 Black students come to the meeting. And we were talking about a bunch of things, and it made me really, really excited that there were so many people that were coming. And at our next meeting, the next week, we had 80 students come. So I was like, I feel like I'm actually doing something good. And then I had a freshman come up to me, and she introduced herself, and she said that she was so proud to have a Black student union because she's never had one of those. And she said that she finally had a place where she felt like she could fit in. So it really made me feel good, and I used that to keep pushing, and I ended up hosting the first ever district-wide Black student union program at my school in FISD.
Y'all better clap it up for Sasha. Go, girl.
Yeah.
You guys are the future. Actually, you are the present. I think that you guys are so innovative. I think you guys y'all are up next. You guys are the change makers. You are out there on the front line. You guys are the ones that are out there protesting along with other adults, and you experience the same things that, it's not a generational gap anymore. You brought it up earlier. It was a 40-year-old man, but that could have very well been a 18-year-old male, female. The lines are no longer blurred. Let me ask you this. Just a couple more questions before we end. Solutions. Let's talk about solutions. Have any of you thought, what are the next steps? Because obviously change needs to be made so that African Americans and people of color in this country are treated equal. What is it gonna take?
We gotta vote. That's all you can do, pretty much. The person of power has to believe in you, and you have to vote, and he has to be able to back you. So we want to be able to put those people who can help us in office. And it doesn't even matter on a national scale. It can just be secretaries of state, or people who are being appointed, or it can just be your legislative, your congressman, your senate. It can be anyone.
Yeah, that's true. We do need to vote because our people have historically been very low outcome voters. And you may see things like, oh, I'm just one person, it doesn't really matter. Well, if 1 million people say I'm just one person, it doesn't really matter, that's 1 million votes that are now gone. And if you don't vote, you don't matter. You're not being taken into account at all. And now we have a ton of new young people that need to be registered to vote. And some people, for whatever reason, think that, oh, if I don't vote, they're gonna take me more seriously. When that's literally the opposite of what's gonna happen. They're just gonna think that you don't know what's going on.
I agree, and I think it's having that uncomfortable conversation with people who are the majority, because they have to vote too. And if they vote against us, then change won't happen. So I think it's talking to your friends who might have the same opinion as their parents and not know better. They might support Trump and not know why they support Trump. So I think you have to go out and talk to them and not be afraid to have that change in that conversation in order to have a change in votes, because there's power in number and there's power in people.
I also think like that's a really good point about having these uncomfortable conversations and making people acknowledge their biases, because like some people are like, oh, I'm not racist. Well, I have black friends and all that thing, but they don't. We all have our own biases, but people, if you don't acknowledge those biases, that's when you act on them without even having control of yourself. So we need to acknowledge our biases and we need to vote.
I think it's important that we all just educate ourselves, but also just like talking about police brutality specifically, if you look at kind of the training, I feel like there needs to maybe be a higher level of training for racial profiling and implicit bias, because that's already there, but obviously it's not doing as much as it should be doing. And also I think it is important, kind of what everyone's saying, is voting, but also that the youth votes as well, because our voice does matter, and especially with social media and the internet and seeing how everything has happened with George Floyd and how everything has played out, I think that really utilizing your voice in the places that people are looking is really important as well.
And going off of what Lauren said and speaking on behalf of those of us who can't yet vote, it's also important to have those uncomfortable conversations in class when a comment is made, instead of just like ignoring it, because it does get frustrating having to say something every single time. But when you don't say anything, they think it's okay to keep making comments and saying things like that. So your change can start in the classroom or just out in public. When you hear something, you can speak up and you can say something because you have a voice for a reason.
And also what Sasha is saying, I think also it's important that even as Black people, we really educate ourselves to even a higher level when we're talking about race and these things, because oftentimes people, like when you're arguing, or not arguing, but having a discussion with somebody, just, them looking at who you are, it's important for you to know the facts. It's important for you to say, this is what happened here. It's important for you to say, you need to walk in my shoes or my perspective so you can understand. And the only way to make them understand is for you to be well-versed and well-read and understand not only just historically, but also how racism looks like in the 21st century as well. And what racism looks like just within different areas, whether it's institutional, whether it's in education. You need to know all of those different aspects, because all of those kind of blend together and create problems like what happened to George Floyd.
Yeah, kind of like what Lauren said. You have to be able to educate them. You have to check them. And we don't know what goes on in their household. Like, that could be correct in their household. Like, systemic racism is like an okay in their household. So we don't know what goes on them. So, like, whenever they say, or they have an outburst, or they say something wrong, you have to be able to check them and be like, no, this is wrong. You can't do this in public. And it's just like, if their parents are teaching them, then who will?
I agree with what Cortland said, and I also think that we should stop treating racism as like a debate, because for the people who are justifying police brutality, I think they don't really understand that when you are racist, like you're not really acknowledging people's basic human civil rights.
I think that the largest thing that we need is accountability, which is accountability for police officers, and I feel like people need to be accountable for their own privilege. They need to recognize that that's what they have, because a lot of people won't want to recognize a system that was built to benefit them, which is why they're so comfortable just sitting and doing what they're doing. And a lot of people think, oh, I don't see racism. I don't even think that it exists. Out of sight, out of mind, which is a very naive and ultimately puerile mindset, which leads to perpetuation of our oppression. And also the accountability for police officers. There are in many police stations and like precincts, they all yeah, okay, my bad. a lot of them have implemented programs such as making police officers write down and report every single use of force that they use, and that has been proven to reduce deaths from police by 25%.
I want to add something to the thought too, that I've had to check myself. He said accountability. Accountability on my end for Lauren's aspect of educating myself. Oftentimes we don't educate ourselves because if you're in a place of somewhat not feeling it directly all the time, you kind of don't think it matters when it comes to local elections, when it comes to educating yourself on the mayor, on the councilmen, and the things that actually affect you, the people that actually affect you, right? And I think about it from an aspect of the NBA draft, right? If you talk to most guys, we can tell you everything about a player that's coming out. Or if you get a LeBron and Michael Jordan debate, we're gonna tell you every single stat that's why this person is the greatest. How about we start putting that energy towards our politicians? We should know every single thing about them, because those are the people that are affecting us more than the people that we watch on TV, right? And I'm holding myself accountable, and I'm challenging I'm challenging you all to do that as well, because like Jay said, you are the future. Some of you all are gonna be able to vote for the first time real soon, right? In 2020, I remember voting for Barack Obama when I was 18, and that was the biggest thing that I could have ever done. And that's very, very important. But let me ask you guys that question. How are you going to hold each other accountable? How are you going to hold your friends accountable to make sure that they go and vote as a next step?
Are y'all old enough to vote? Oh, okay. I was just making sure.
Some of them are, yeah.
Soon.
The ones that just graduated.
I turned 18 on
Let them know,
Yeah,
Kennedy.
when you turn 18. There you go, see? Y'all will be able to vote in November, so how you going to hold people accountable?
When I turn 18, I'm going to make sure, I'm going to send reminders, and then like when voter registration closes, I'm going to send a reminder. I'm just going to keep on texting my friends and reminding them to make sure, hey, make sure you register to vote. Hey, make sure you go vote. They're doing it at these areas and stuff like that.
That's good.
Nah, I'm taking my closest friends to vote with me.
There you go.
Pick them up, boy. Pick them up in the car.
All right.
Okay, so real quick, before we wrap, and before we have our final statements, I also want to leave something with you all, and it seems like you all are doing it, but I just want to reemphasize, take care of your mental health. I can personally say, and this is why I'm looking at you guys, and I think that everybody on this panel, y'all are so amazing, and y'all are inspiring, even to me as an adult. This was a rough weekend emotionally for me. I got caught up in the arguing with people back and forth on Instagram, trying to justify certain things and this and that, and it just really got me down. And I want you to always give yourself permission to escape, to cut off the social media, to be okay with not having to be, the end-all, tell-all for everything and everybody. I wish that I would have given myself permission at your age to turn myself off sometimes so that I can restore, because, we got one gear, it's go. It's go time all the time. But eventually, when you keep that up and you never take a break and you never stop fighting and you never restore and replenish yourself, it affects you when you become my age and when you become an adult. So we need you, and we need you at 100%. So get that rest. Turn off the social media. Tell your friends, I can't talk right now. This is a weekend. I'm not going to go anywhere. I can't hang out because it's that energy. I just don't feel right. And sometimes we can't even put our finger on what is wrong, but we know that we're not ourselves. So don't think you're crazy or think that you're weird when those times happen. It's called being human. So I want you to make sure that when you guys do go off to college and your senior year of high school, there's a lot of stress. You guys deal with a lot of stress. Please be okay. Your mental health literally is wealth. So I want to give you guys permission I want you to give yourself permission to do that.
Yeah, that's very true. Because I feel like a lot of people just keep pushing. They feel like they might mistake taking a break for your mental health as inactivity or complacency, but it is definitely important that you take care of yourself.
I want you also to be open to, if you feel at any point that you need to seek outside counsel. Let's keep it real. In the Black community, only reason you go to counseling is if, okay, something ain't right for her. You know? We act like the person has to be crazy or there has to be a mental diagnosis to go seek a counselor or therapy. And that's not the case. I don't know how many of you guys have cars, but even whether you do or not, are you gonna wait for all 4 tires on your car to be flat before you go take it to the shop? Would you?
No.
So why would you wait until you're completely on E before you take care of yourself? Okay? There are things that have happened to us, some of the things that you guys are talking about, that things that people have said to you, things that have happened to you as a teenager, that sometimes we don't realize we harbor, and then it comes back up later on when we're 25, 30 years old, and we're wondering why we're responding a certain way to certain things, or why we have these feelings and emotions inside. So don't let that lie be told that counseling and therapy is not important, because it definitely is. And I can attest and say, I finally had to swallow that pill as an adult and say, I'm not crazy just because I need somebody outside of my friends or family members to talk to. Because, they love us. They're going to tell us what we want to hear a lot of times anyways, right? So before we leave, and everybody doesn't have to, but if you want to, I really want to open up the floor, and I really want you to look at that camera right there. And I don't know if you're addressing city leaders, police officers, our national leaders, our president, but I want to get final words from you. And I want you to look at that camera. If whoever this person is, whoever this leader is, I want you to imagine them standing in front of you, and you have your opportunity to tell them how you feel, to defend yourself, to tell them what you think we need to do, whatever it is that you've been holding inside and said, man, if I was in front of a police officer, or if I would, I just want you to be heard. So I want you to look at the camera if you have final words, and go ahead and feel free to say what it is that you would say. Anybody?
Sure, I'll go ahead. Please stop killing us. We are not bad.
Wow.
Yeah, we're not trying to be against y'all. We're just trying to get y'all to be for us.
Wow.
My skin color.
Hold on just a second.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. We're not trying to be against y'all. We just want y'all to be for us.
All lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
Real quick, I want you to say yours again, because I want them to get, and I want you to say yours again so they can get a close-up, okay? Because they didn't know you were going to go, okay?
Oh.
Go ahead.
All lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
You go again.
Please stop killing us. We are not all bad.
One more time.
Please stop killing us. We are not bad.
No. It could be to your peers.
Okay. To my fellow peers out there that are my age or even younger, I just wanted to say that activism does not have an age. Even though what we've talked about today is if you're 18, you're able to vote, but you can still do other things to be active in the Black community or in your community in general, and you don't have to have an age. At the Frisco protest, my 7-year-old brother was out there with his poster, and he was protesting with us. Activism does not have an age.
I think I want to say to my peers that if you're uncomfortable during this time, then you need to acknowledge that. If you recognize that you have privilege, use it. If you don't know where to start, reach out. There's petitions you can sign. You see the protest flyers going around. You have friends that you can reach out, even if they're not your friends. Be like, what can I do to help? You have the same internet I have. I know you have the same Twitter I have. there's endless resources about educating yourself and making a change, and it starts with us.
Go ahead. You might get edited out, but yeah. Not just joking. Yeah.
Come out to Mansfield High School June 5th at 2 o'clock and help us peacefully protest. We'll be walking 6.6 miles, just chanting, and there'll be water, there'll be food, and yeah, just come out and help us peacefully protest.
I just want to know why it is that an unarmed black man terrifies you more than a white person with a deadly weapon.
Say it one more time and speak, slow down a little and speak up.
Okay. I just want to know why an unarmed black man terrifies you more than a white person with a deadly weapon.
Fellow white people, actually, no. White people. Oh, no, my bad.
We're gonna run that back.
Retake.
Okay, you got it.
White people who are supporting us, thank you for being on our side. Fellow black people, thank you for your support. All the black advocates out there, all the black politicians, thank you for your support and everything that you are doing for our community, so that way we can have change.
To my fellow black peers, don't let anyone.
It's okay. Just take your time. Yeah.
Okay. To my fellow black peers, don't let anybody minimize how you're feeling. How you are feeling, no matter what it is right.
I want to say to all of those who aren't advocating for us and who are against us that we won't be silenced, and a change is going to come.
You can wrap us. Y'all are so good. Man, I love y'all. Y'all are so good.
That really was, and if I had something to say, I would say, remember that I'm somebody's son, I'm somebody's child, I'm somebody's father, I'm somebody's grandchild. When you look at a person and realize that they're bigger than, that there is more people that will be affected in just this moment, that will also be able to change a little bit of who you are and what you're thinking in that moment. But listen, this was a great conversation. I'm blown away. I did not expect y'all to get up here and speak like that. And it just goes to show that we are in good hands. We are in good hands. Like she said, change is going to come. We have to believe it, and we can achieve it. It takes everybody watching. It takes everybody on this stage. It takes all hands together to get out here and let's make a change. Yeah. So we're proud of you all. We're with you all, and that's all we got to say.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely takes everybody. It takes more than just black. It definitely takes all races coming together, especially those that have the power to help us to make change. When we're being overlooked, who can be out there for us and advocate for us at the same time and speak on our behalf, which you guys said earlier. We are a church, so we believe in the power of prayer. So Joe, before we leave, do you guys mind if we say a prayer and pray for our country and pray for the injustice and the inequality and pray for those that, really don't know what to say and are really torn up by everything that's going on, which should be our entire country.
Yeah, I want. Who wants to pray?
Oh yeah.
After you.
What am I?
Simone's gonna pray. Pray
Okay,
us out,
chaplain. Yes.
Pray us out.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for bringing us here today to allow us to fellowship in your name, God. I just want to pray for this country and the state that we are in. I want to pray for our leaders, Lord, that you continue to guide them, Lord, and continue to guide all of us in the words that we say and the actions that we take in this country and in this world, so that we are able to make the impact that you want us to have, Lord. I just thank you so much for everything that you have brought us through to bring us to this point, Lord. I love you and I praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you guys for your openness. Thank you for your transparency. Thank you for your insight. And hopefully somebody that's out there watching today also gained a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of understanding, seeing that this group of teenagers that often get labeled in a negative way They're great people. We're all great people. So thank you so much for joining us. And again, maybe there's another teenager or a young child out there that's watching that now all of a sudden doesn't feel alone. So thank you guys for sharing today. We appreciate it.